So before I review the new Steven Spielberg movie, The Post, which I did witness tonight, I thought I'd share something interesting that I picked up tonight before the movie started. Now, this has nothing to do with the film The Post itself. It actually has to do with the movie that already came out that I have witnessed, but I thought it was quite fascinating. So, you know, before you see a movie, there, of course, you can get popcorn and you can get soda and all that fun stuff, but sometimes they offer free stuff. Sometimes they have a stack of posters of movies that have come out, movies that are in theaters right now, or movies that are yet to be released. So I did pick up some posters of movies that I'm excited about, and if I like those movies, I'll keep the posters. But they actually had a stack of posters for a film that got changed a lot because of some controversy that happened to one of the stars. So I picked up a couple of these thinking maybe they could be collector's items. You know, I know they probably mass-produced them, but I thought it was quite interesting to have this little piece of history of a film that was changed because of one of the actors' personal lives coming and being exposed. But I thought it was quite interesting. So I picked up one of these posters right here of All the Money in the World. And of course, there is Mark Wahlberg and Michelle Williams. And this one still has Kevin Spacey. So it even says that Kevin Spacey's in this film still. So this was really cool. I just had to pick one up. I wonder if he's still in the credits. No, he doesn't have the credits down here, but over here, he's still in the credits. So I thought this was just a very interesting poster. Now, I did see this film. I did do a review for it. And of course, Kevin Spacey was taken out of the film and they put in Christopher Plummer. But I just thought this was an interesting piece of history that I wonder if it will be worth something someday. If not, it's okay. It's just something quite interesting. And maybe one day we'll actually get to see the cut of the film with Kevin Spacey. Hello, everyone, and welcome. MovieManCHAD here with another movie review from the year 2017. This is my thoughts and feelings and opinion of the brand new Steven Spielberg film, The Post. Now, when I was excited about the next Steven Spielberg movie, it sure wasn't this movie. I didn't even know this movie existed until about 4 or 5 months ago when the trailer dropped, because I was excited about Ready Player One, which is coming out, I believe, in March of this year, 2018. I love a great, big, exciting Spielberg science fiction extravaganza, though I do love his dramas as well. And so this one is not a comedy. It's not a science fiction movie. It actually is based on a true story and has a very impressive cast. Let's go through it really quick. We have Meryl Streep, which I think is the first time she's working with Steven Spielberg. Tom Hanks, who's worked with Steven Spielberg a bunch of times, Sarah Paulson, Bob Odenkirk, and then we have David Cross. There's a Mr. Show reunion going on. Tracy Letts, Bradley Winford, Bruce Greenwood, Alison Brie, Karen Coons, Jesse Pullman, David Cross, and Zach Woods, and Pat Healy, and a bunch of other people. Very talented, collective, cool, great, beautiful cast. Now, what is this movie about? Of course, this movie is based on the true story of the Washington Post as they expose the U.S. government and the lies they told over the years through presidents of the 1960s and early 1970s about the Vietnam War. Of course, this movie takes place in 1971 during the presidency of President Nixon, right before Watergate. And so it tackles all these certain things. And Meryl Streep, she plays a woman who owns the Washington Post, took it over from her dead husband, and then before that took it over. Her father died, so her father owned it at one time, and her husband owned it at one time, and now she's owned it. She's a woman in a man's world with all these people that want to change everything, and she's dealing with bankers. There's a threat of the Washington Post going under, and so all that's going on. She has an editor-in-chief played by Tom Hanks that she's dealing with, that she has a good relationship with somewhat. And then, of course, the rest of the cast plays the press and all this great stuff. To be honest with you, I wasn't that excited to see this film. I don't know why. It just never, from the trailers, it just never looked that thrilling. It looked like, okay, I know this is important. I've seen documentaries, I've read things about the Pentagon Papers. I've seen movies and tons of films and documentaries and learned about in school about the Vietnam War and how terrible it was. I think this might be the first time Steven Spielberg has tackled this subject, but for some reason I just can't think why I wasn't that excited. The trailers never really grabbed me. I was like, I should be excited. This is Steven Spielberg. He's my favorite filmmaker. I love that he's brought his team back together. This is the next time he's working with John Williams. I don't think he's working with John Williams for his next film because John Williams was spending so much time with The Last Jedi. For some reason, I just wasn't that excited to see this film. I'm not saying the film's not important. I'm not saying the film's not doing things that are important and exciting and thrilling. And the acting doesn't look that great, and the cast, everything looks like it's come together perfectly. And after watching the movie, I have to say I kind of feel the same way. I'm not that excited. I think it's a good movie. It handles the subject matter quite well. The performances are nice. Direction, the music is nice. It's never boring. It's quite interesting. It's all under 2 hours. It wraps up nicely. I like how the ending leads up to a possible sequel. Of course, there was a sequel with Nixon after this in real life, and probably after this movie, just go watch 1995's Nixon by Oliver Stone, and maybe that's could be considered the sequel to The Post. I don't know. It's not. I've seen movies about the press. I've seen movies about strong women. I like Meryl Streep, not as a person really. I don't really like her as a human being, but I do like her as an actress, and she gives a solid performance, as she easily could do. And Tom Hanks gives a good solid performance as well. The rest of the cast is nice. I like Bob Odenkirk in the film, Carrie Coons. Sarah Paulson has some nice scenes. The whole cast get a moment to shine here and there. Of course, this is a Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg and Meryl Streep movie, so it's all about them and their performances, and they're all solid. They all have great chemistry, and I think Steven Spielberg. I don't know why he's waited this long to work with Meryl Streep. Of course, she is the finest actress in the world, winning many awards and being praised by millions. And again, I like her as an actress, and that's about. I like her as a performer, and that's about it. But I don't know. The movie didn't really stick with me. I think maybe I've heard the story before, or I've seen better films about the press, like All the President's Men. Seen better films that tackle the Vietnam War, like Platoon and Born on the 4th of July. Yeah, I think it's an important story, expose these lies. I'm not a big fan of the government. I'm not a big fan of American politics at times. I'm not a big fan at all, even though I believe in the freedom of the press, but I'm not a big fan of the press, especially in the world we're living in today. You just don't know what's true. You can't really believe anything. You have to go to many sources to try and find your news. You just can't go to one source to find your news. So these are subjects maybe I'm not that interested in real life, but I enjoy a great drama. This is a good drama. Nothing too spectacular in my opinion. It's fine. It's a fine film. I think it's Oscar bait. I think Spielberg has made better films. I think he's made better films in his sleep. I think all these actors have made better films in their sleep. I think everybody's just chugging along. They do have an important story to tell. We gotta elevate the press. They do serve a purpose, and they do have the freedom to tell their stories. And of course, I don't believe that the press should be stopped. I don't believe the press should be put to. They shouldn't go to prison for, especially in America. I believe in the free press, but I think they should be accountable. I would like to see more movies about the press being like, you have to be accountable for the stories you tell, whether they're true or not, and that's what maybe that's the movie I really want to see. Not a movie where they expose something that I knew that they exposed already. This is a true story, and it's something important that they exposed, and I know it's important that the press expose important truths, but then they lie to us a lot too. So it's just this major conflict going on in my mind as I'm watching this film. It just never really elevated to full greatness. I think we've seen better films about the Vietnam War. We've seen better films starring Tom Hanks. We've seen better films starring Meryl Streep. And we've seen better films about the press. And especially we've seen better films from the great Steven Spielberg. I just don't think this is one of them. I think this is a good film. Everybody's by the numbers. They're all trying to bleed for an Oscar nomination, and they'll probably get it. But for me, I think this is a good film, standard, well-made. I will definitely own it because I have every Steven Spielberg movie in my collection on Blu-ray except for a couple films, and I will always be a big fan of Steven Spielberg. I even like some of his worst films that people like. 1941 I like, and The Lost World I like, and Empire of the Sun I love. So not every film can be a great film. I know most people probably think this movie's a great film, and I will never take away their opinion. But my opinion, I think it's okay. It's good. It's a decent film. It's watchable. It just never was emotional and never really gained my full attention. There was never a moment where I rised up and I wanted to go, Oh my gosh, that was wonderful. That never happened in my opinion with this film. But I walked away going, another good film from Steven Spielberg. And for that, I am going to give The Post, I will give it 3 stars out of 4.